Hello brothers and welcome to Sigma Old Man channel. A lion doesn't need to announce its presence, the jungle already knows. Most men spend their lives trying to be a catch, flexing, chasing, proving themselves and begging for validation. But you're built differently. You don't chase, you don't perform, and you definitely don't beg. You exist with undeniable value, and whether people admit it or not, they feel it. Here's a fact. True high-value men don't walk around screaming, "I'm high value." They simply live their lives and the world eventually catches up. Sigma males don't fit into traditional categories because they aren't trying to. You move in silence, you operate on a different frequency, and the craziest part? People are drawn to you even when they don't understand why. But let's be honest. Sometimes you forget just how much of a catch you actually are. Maybe because you're too busy building your empire in the shadows, or because you've been surrounded by people who don't have the range to appreciate your depth. Well, today's the day you wake up. By the end of this, you're going to realize why you're not just a catch. You're the one they never saw coming, the one they regret losing, and the one they'll never replace. Number one, you have mastered the art of not giving a damn. Most people are slaves to opinions. They live on autopilot, constantly adjusting their words, actions, and even personalities just to fit into society's expectations. They tiptoe around controversial topics, apologize for things they don't even regret, and seek approval like their lives depend on it. But you've mastered the art of not giving a damn, and that's what makes you untouchable. It's not recklessness, and it's not arrogance, it's freedom. You don't waste time explaining yourself to people who will never understand you. You don't shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You don't follow trends, fake friendships, or play along with social nonsense just to be liked. And that unsettles people because deep down, most of them wish they had your level of detachment. When you stop caring about external validation, you become immune to manipulation. Guilt trips don't work on you. Peer pressure has no effect. Emotional blackmail, laughable. You see through every tactic, every attempt to control you, and you refuse to participate. That kind of independence terrifies people who are used to bending under pressure. This is why you make some people uncomfortable. Society is designed to keep people obedient, make them crave likes, chase status, and bow to unspoken rules. But you operate outside of that system. If something doesn't align with your principles, you reject it outright. If a situation doesn't serve you, you walk away, no explanations, no second guessing, no guilt. That's what separates you from the masses. And here's the best part. When you stop caring about their approval, they start chasing yours. People are drawn to those who are unapologetically themselves. They admire your ability to move through life without constantly seeking permission. They might not always say it out loud, but they respect you for it. Most men exhaust themselves trying to be accepted. They mold themselves into whatever society, women or their peers expect them to be. But you refuse to play the game. You live life on your terms. And if someone doesn't like it, that's their problem, not yours. In a world full of desperate approval seekers, you stand out because you don't need anyone's validation. That makes you powerful, unpredictable, and completely untouchable. Number two, you don't sell yourself, you let people discover you. Most people are in a constant sales pitch, trying to convince the world they're valuable. They list their achievements, name-drop connections, and practically beg for recognition. But you don't play that game. You don't walk into a room trying to prove anything because your presence alone is enough. You move through life with a quiet confidence that doesn't need validation, and that's exactly why people can't ignore you. When someone is truly valuable, they don't need to announce it. A masterpiece doesn't beg to be admired, it just is. And that's how you operate. You don't waste energy trying to be seen because real power is in being undeniable. People might not get you at first, but over time they start noticing the way you carry yourself, the way you think, the way you don't seek approval like everyone else. That's when it clicks. They realize you're on a different level and suddenly they're paying attention. This is why people find you intriguing. You're not oversharing, over-explaining, or trying to impress. You give just enough for people to wonder, who is this guy? And once they start paying attention, they can't stop. That slow realization, that sense of discovery, is more powerful than any forced attempt to be noticed. The truth is, when someone tries too hard to prove their worth, they do the opposite. They come across as insecure, desperate, and ultimately forgettable. You never have that problem. You simply exist with such quiet but undeniable value that people eventually figure it out on their own. And when they do, they never see you the same way again. Number 3, you are unshakably comfortable in your own skin. Most people are walking contradictions, saying one thing, doing another, constantly adjusting themselves to fit whatever environment they're in. They put on a performance, hoping the world buys into the version of themselves they've carefully crafted. But you don't play that game. You are exactly who you are, whether people like it or not. And that's what makes you magnetic. You don't shrink yourself in a room full of louder voices. You don't overcompensate when surrounded by people who seem more successful. You don't change your stance just because someone questions it. You own yourself, flaws, strengths, and everything in between. That kind of self-assurance is rare, and people can't help but notice it. You don't need to prove your worth because you already know it. You don't need a crowd to validate your decisions because you trust yourself. And that's exactly why people respect you. Even those who don't necessarily like you can't deny that you're solid. In a world full of people who crumble at the slightest criticism, who second-guess themselves at every turn, you stand firm, and that makes you different. The truth is, people gravitate toward those who are unshakably real. Not perfect, not rehearsed, just real. And that's exactly what you are. You don't chase approval because you don't need it. You don't water yourself down to be more likable. You are you, and the people who get it will naturally be drawn to you. The ones who don't? They were never meant to be in your world anyway. Number 4, you're not just a catch. You're the type that comes once in a lifetime. Most people are replaceable. Their personalities are copy-pasted from social trends, their ambitions are borrowed from whatever's popular, and their sense of self is so shaky that they morph into whatever others expect them to be. But you're different. You're not the kind of man someone stumbles upon twice. People don't always recognize your value immediately. You're not flashy, you don't beg for attention, and you definitely don't try to impress the masses. Your power is in how effortlessly you exist on your own terms. But here's where it gets interesting. Once someone has experienced you, they can't unsee the difference. They go back into the world expecting to find another man with your level of depth, independence, and presence, and they don't. This is why people end up regretting losing you, not because of nostalgia, not because of loneliness, but because they finally understand what they had. You weren't just a momentary thrill, an easy distraction, or a forgettable experience. You were a wake-up call, a rare kind of man who left an imprint. Most guys can be replaced in a week. You become the one who got away, the one they compare every future relationship to, the standard they didn't realize was so high until they tried finding it again, and when they finally do, it's already too late. And number 5, you are the only person who can handle being you. Most people need constant distractions just to survive their own thoughts. They drown themselves in social media, meaningless conversations, and external validation because being alone with their own mind is too much to handle. But you thrive in that space, the solitude, the deep introspection, the constant mental evolution. It doesn't drain you, it fuels you. Your mind is a battlefield, a laboratory, and a sanctuary all at once. You analyze everything, question the world, and refuse to settle for surface-level thinking. While others get uncomfortable sitting in silence, you embrace it. You don't run from your own mind, you master it. That level of mental independence is why you don't rely on others to entertain, validate, or complete you. You're self-sufficient in a way most people will never understand. But here's the brutal truth. Most people couldn't survive being you. The depth of thought, the relentless self-improvement, the mental toughness, it's too much for them. They'd break under the weight of your intensity. That's why you often feel like an outlier, because you are. Your ability to handle your own mind, to navigate life without needing constant reassurance, puts you in a league of your own. While others are out there seeking distractions from themselves, you are becoming stronger, sharper, and even more untouchable. And that's exactly what makes you a breed apart. Number 6, you're a natural high-value man, not a try-hard one. Most men try to be high-value, and that's exactly why they aren't. They're out here forcing it, flexing expensive watches they can't afford, talking louder than necessary, and obsessing over how others perceive them. It's all a performance, and deep down, everyone can tell. But you don't need to prove anything. Your value isn't in what you show off, it's in who you are. You don't need validation because you're already secure in yourself. You don't chase status because you know true power isn't about looking important, it's about being undeniable. You carry yourself with a quiet confidence that doesn't beg for attention, and that's what makes people respect you. While others are exhausting themselves trying to appear valuable, you simply exist as someone who is. The difference between you and the tryhards is simple. They seek approval, you attract respect. They need constant reassurance that they're important. You already know you are. They build their identity around how others see them. Your identity is rooted in something unshakable. Your own standards, your own principles, your own sense of self. That's what makes you rare. You don't fake it, you don't force it. You just are. And in a world full of men pretending to be something they're not, that alone makes you stand out effortlessly. Number 7, you're unpredictable, and that keeps people hooked. Most people are painfully predictable. You can tell exactly what they'll say, how they'll react, and what choices they'll make before they even make them. Their lives run on autopilot, following the same patterns, the same routines, the same thought processes. But you break every mold. You move in a way that keeps people on their toes because you don't follow a script, you follow your instincts. One day you're fully engaged, focused, and deep in a project. The next you vanish into solitude, recharging, recalibrating, plotting your next move. You might walk away from an opportunity that others would kill for simply because you know it doesn't align with you. You might cut off a long-time connection overnight, not out of emotion, but because you saw something they didn't think you would. No one ever truly knows what you're thinking, and that's what makes you so addictive. People crave certainty. They like knowing what to expect. It makes them feel comfortable, in control, but with you, there's no comfort zone. Just when they think they have you figured out, you shift. You evolve. You disappear and come back sharper, wiser, and even more untouchable. That kind of unpredictability commands attention. It forces people to watch closely because they know that whatever happens next, it won't be boring. And here's the real kicker. You're not unpredictable for attention. You're not playing games or being reckless. You simply operate on a level where your moves are dictated by your own internal compass, not external expectations. That's what truly separates you, because while others are following the map, you're creating your own. Number 8, you're an emotional fortress, and people want to break in. Most people wear their emotions like an open book, easy to read, easy to manipulate. They overshare, seek validation, and let anyone with the right words gain access to their most vulnerable thoughts. But you're built different. Your emotions are locked behind walls so high that people can't help but wonder what's on the other side. And that drives them insane. You don't do it for effect. You don't hide who you are. You just don't hand out access like free samples. You understand that not everyone deserves to know your struggles, your victories, or your thoughts. You're selective, and that scarcity makes people obsessed. The more they realize they can't just waltz into your inner world, the more they want to. People are wired to crave what they can't have, and your emotional distance makes you the ultimate challenge. They'll analyze your every move, overthink your every response, and convince themselves that if they just try harder, they'll be the one to break through. But here's the truth, very few ever do. Because while people are chasing a shortcut to your trust, you're watching who actually earns it. And when someone finally gets in, they realize what a privilege it is. Because beyond the mystery, beyond the unreadable expressions and the calm exterior, there's depth, loyalty, and a presence that few will ever experience. And that's why people don't just want to be around you. They want to matter to you, because once they do, they know they've gained something rare. Number 9, you're built for survival, not for pleasing people. Most people are trained from birth to seek approval. They bend, adjust, and soften themselves just to fit in. They crave validation like oxygen, terrified of being disliked or misunderstood. But you don't care about playing that game. Your mind isn't wired for pleasing people. It's wired for survival, self-mastery, and absolute independence. You don't move based on what others want from you. You move based on what you decide is right. That's why people find you intimidating. You don't react the way they expect. You don't rush to explain yourself, you don't beg for acceptance, and you definitely don't let opinions dictate your path. While others crumble under pressure, you thrive in it. You know how to adapt, how to endure, how to keep pushing forward no matter what. That makes you rare. Most people are followers, even the ones who pretend they aren't. They need a group, a cause, or an ideology to cling to because standing alone is too uncomfortable. But you stand firm even when you're the only one doing it. You trust yourself more than the noise around you, and that kind of self-reliance is almost extinct in today's world. People will try to change you, soften you, or guilt you into playing by their rules. But you know better. You weren't built for comfort. You were built for resilience. And while others waste their lives chasing approval, you're out here mastering the one thing that actually matters: yourself. Number 10, you have a mind that can't be manipulated. Most people are walking around with minds that are easy to reprogram. They believe whatever they're told, react exactly how manipulators want them to, and fall for the same emotional traps over and over again. But your mind is a fortress. No guilt tripping, no emotional blackmail, no cheap tricks. Nothing gets past you. You see things for what they really are, not for how they're presented. When someone tries to play games, you recognize the pattern before they even finish their sentence. When people try to manipulate you, you don't react, you observe. You process information without bias, without ego, and without falling into emotional traps. And that alone makes you terrifying to those who rely on deception to control others. People can't stand when they can't control your emotions. They want to make you feel guilty, to make you doubt yourself, to get you to act based on impulse instead of reason. But you're unshakable. You don't react to provocation. You don't engage in pointless drama. And you definitely don't let anyone dictate how you feel. You choose your emotions, your actions, and your reality. And that kind of mental clarity, it's rare. It makes people uneasy because they can't predict or manipulate you the way they do with others. But it also makes you untouchable. Because while the world is full of people getting played like chess pieces, you're the one standing above the board, making your own moves. Number 11, you're a one-man army, and that's rare as hell. Most people can't handle being alone. They need constant validation, endless distractions, and a crowd to make them feel like they matter. They rely on others to tell them who they are, what to think, and what to do next. But you don't need any of that. You move through life on your own terms, fully capable of standing alone without feeling lost. And that makes you a walking anomaly. People don't understand how you function without a pack. They can't wrap their heads around the fact that you don't crave approval, don't need constant conversation, and don't break down when you're by yourself, while they're busy chasing attention. You're busy building your mind, your future, your own damn empire. That kind of self-sufficiency, it's almost extinct. Most men are terrified of solitude. They jump from one relationship to the next, one friend group to another, just to avoid facing themselves. But you've mastered it. You've sat with your thoughts, conquered your demons, and turned your solitude into strength. You don't just survive alone, you thrive. And because of that, no one holds power over you. That's what truly separates you. You don't stay in toxic relationships because you're afraid of being alone. You don't tolerate weak friendships just for company. You don't let anyone manipulate you with guilt or pressure. You choose who's in your life, not the other way around. And that level of independence, it makes people uneasy, but it also makes you unstoppable. At the end of the day, you're not just a catch, you're the damn exception. You don't bend for approval, you don't settle for mediocrity, and you sure as hell don't beg for anyone's validation. While the world is full of people desperate to fit in, you stand alone, solid, unshaken, and untouchable, and that's rare. Most will never understand you, some will envy you, others will try to change you. But the ones who truly see your worth, they'll know they've encountered something they'll never find again. Because men like you don't come around often. You don't chase, you attract. You don't follow, you lead. You don't beg, you decide. So if you ever doubt yourself, remember this: you're not for everyone, and that's exactly what makes you valuable. A rare breed doesn't lower itself to blend in. It stands apart, untamed, unapologetic, and legendary. If this hit home, don't just sit there. Hit that subscribe button and join a community that actually gets it. Like the video, drop a comment below and let me know which part resonated with you the most. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them, because let's be real, most people need a wake-up call. This channel isn't about chasing trends or feeding you the same recycled nonsense. It's about truth, mindset, and leveling up in ways most people can't handle. So if you're built different, stick around, because this is where you belong.